Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Reading the Red this Tuesday morning. We knew it was coming and the rain has arrived, and it was raining last night. But what a lovely sound. Matthew chapter 21, and we're looking at verse 28 today. Jesus begins a new parable and he says these words. But what do you think? A man had 2 sons, and he came to the first, and he said, Son, go work in the vineyard. So he asked the disciples and those listening, what do you think? And the reality of being able to think is a gift, a privilege, the ability to be able to reason and to evaluate, to understand. It's a journey, but none of it can be considered until we're presented with a challenge or a conundrum. So when Jesus asks, what do you think? He's asking them, where are you with regards to what you think in terms of what I'm about to say? So what does he say? Well, he's building up, it's called a parable, a story with a meaning, to give them some insight. So he uses 2 sons and he says to the disciples, what do you think? And then he presents the characters. A man, and he had 2 sons. So there was a father who had 2 sons. The father is in charge and he brings some insight and instruction to the sons. And he goes to the first son and he says to them, son. So he belongs to the father. And the father asks the son, go work in the vineyard. So that invitation to be obedient to the father is presented. So Jesus is asking the disciples and those listening, what do you think about this? A father asks a son to go and work in a vineyard. And there's this sense of anticipation that's building up. Well, what are the disciples going to think about what Jesus has just said in this verse 28? What do you think? So they're thinking, well, a father asks a son to go and work in a vineyard. Nothing unusual about that. And the reality of seeing that unfold is beginning to develop. But he's building it up. And when he says, a man had 2 sons, and he came in he first and he said, go and work in the vineyard today. So that's immediately this sense of, will you be obedient to my voice and will you do it immediately? So go and work today. Let's see what happens tomorrow. God bless you. Thanks for joining me.